I've noticed when it comes to gaming, the new trend is talking about your favorite hot takes. Well, today I want to be going over my Assassin's Creed hot takes. It seems to be pretty common. I've actually seen quite a few videos where YouTubers will go over their fans' Assassin's Creed hot takes. Today, I'm going to be going over mine, but if you guys want me to go over your hot takes for a video, drop them down in the comments below, or I'll do something on the community tab, and we will absolutely make that happen. Now, I have, I believe, 5 hot takes here that I want to go over, and I'm not going to waste too much of your time, so let's just get straight into this. Now, for this, I'm going to start off with the least hot takes and kind of work my way up, because I don't know if this first one's actually a hot take or not, but here it goes. I personally believe that the newer Assassin's Creed maps are just way too big. Like, to me, in my opinion, I think when you have a map like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or even like Assassin's Creed Origins, Valhalla, these maps are so huge that by the time you kind of cover it all and you look at every little aspect of these maps, it takes so long. And I think that this is a problem that Ubisoft and even a lot of gamers themselves go down, that they think that bigger means better. I don't believe that bigger is always better. I don't think that's the case, because you could have more quantity, but if it's not filled with quality, now of course I'm not saying that's the case here, the maps in these games are beautiful, but I just personally think they are far too large. Like, for instance, I'm a Batman Arkham fan. I love the size of Batman Arkham City's map. Batman Arkham Knight's map size is good, or even if you want to take a look at the Assassin's Creed games, I like Revelation's map, in my opinion. I even think that when you take a look at something like Assassin's Creed 3, I think the size of these maps are pretty good for the most part. But when you get into like Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, these games' maps are just so huge, and I feel like there's almost too much to explore at the cost of quality. My next one, we're going to start ramping it up here a little bit. I personally believe instead of Assassin's Creed Rogue, we should have got a game where we play as Haytham Kenway, because that way we would still have the Rogue concept, right? And I believe that it would be really good for us as the player to understand how Haytham came to be a Templar. And yes, I know it's in books or whatever, but like, let's be honest, a lot of us, including me, are not huge readers. We want to play the games. We want to see in a game format how Haytham came to be a Templar. And like, even if that explanation is extremely basic, oh, he became a Templar because assassins killed his dad or whatever, that's fine. But I would love to see that explored, because Haytham to me is one of my favorite characters. And in theory, being able to play as a Templar, to be able to explore what it's like to be on the opposite side, right? Because for the first few games or whatever, we've been nothing but assassins fighting these Templars. But if you make it a moral gray area of which side you stand on, and you introduce us to playing as a Templar, then I think having a character like Haytham to do that is so much better than having a character like Shay. I gotta be honest, I just don't think that Shay's like a super great character or anything like that. Like, I think Haytham is 10 times better the character than what Shay is, like, in my personal opinion. But they also could have showcased at the start of the game, this is how Edward died, right? We know that people broke into his house and killed him, whatever, but if we can see that in a game, and we could see how someone like Haytham goes on to become a Templar, I think that that could be a really interesting story. And I think that that's something that Ubisoft, like, they're just dropping the ball on everything these days, man. And that's one of those things that they are definitely dropping the ball on. Now, if you thought that those takes were hot, we are going to ramp this up. The next one I have here, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is the worst of the Ezio trilogy, in my opinion. Now, before you get out your pitchforks and stab me, let me explain. You see, to me, in my opinion at least, I think that the story is a lot weaker in Brotherhood than in comparison to Revelations and Assassin's Creed 2. It's almost like the middle child in a way. Assassin's Creed 2, a lovely revenge story about the death of Ezio's father and his brother, and his introduction to the Brotherhood and everything. It's just such a beautifully well-written story, and because a lot of people can sympathize what it's like to lose a parent or a loved one, they can understand the feeling for one to want to get revenge. And in Revelations, it showcases the end of Ezio's story, about how he's tired of being into the Brotherhood, that there isn't even a time in his life, really, where he wasn't considered an assassin. He was almost born into the Brotherhood in a way, or from a very, very young age at the very least. And to see him wrap up that story, in my opinion, was very, very well done, on top of the ending and conclusion to Altair's story, because we felt like that there was more at the end of Assassin's Creed 1. Like, there was more to Altair here than what the eye meets, and we got a very nice conclusion, albeit slightly rushed. Whereas Brotherhood, in my opinion, kind of suffers with some pacing issues. The beginning of the game is very good. It introduces us to Cesare Borgia very well. It continues off from the last game. That's all well and good. Uncle Mario dies at the start. I don't mind that. It's once you get into Rome and you're dealing with this weird pacing issue where you're following Machiavelli around, or you're tailing this guy around, following this guy around, and then before you know it, you're kind of getting close to the end of the game, and the whole Cesare Borgia plotline kind of just feels a little bit rushed to me. And on top of that, I felt like that the side characters in this game really just weren't that memorable. Now, to be fair, I've only played the game one time, so maybe I'd have to go back and give it another playthrough and give it another chance, and maybe then there will be more and better things that maybe I missed on my initial playthrough. And the map in this game, while I am someone that likes a more condensed map, Brotherhood's map felt a lot more dull in comparison to Constantinople, which is another very condensed map in Revelations. I feel like that map was done a lot better than something like Brotherhood, so I feel like it just doesn't have a lot going for it in comparison to the other two Ezio Trilogy games. My next hot take will definitely get me into some trouble here, but I personally think that Bayek is a way better protagonist than Edward Kenway, and quite frankly, I really don't think it's that close. I personally find Edward to be one of the most overrated protagonists in the franchise. Yes, he is charismatic, he does have an interesting personality. That's not why I think he's the most overrated protagonist. I think he's a overrated protagonist because I think that he's mostly just a selfish pirate for like the majority of the game. And yes, you are learning about the Brotherhood alongside Edward as he kind of gets introduced to it. And that's kind of cool and all, but he almost seems to laugh at or reject their philosophy until later in the game. It basically takes him waiting till every single person that's close to him getting killed for him to realize, hey, maybe the Brotherhood actually has some value, and maybe I should join it instead of just trying to chase these earthly riches. To me, it felt like Edward's character development really wasn't anything special. It really felt kind of rushed, almost undeserved. It was kind of like the ending of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where it kind of just feels like it rushes you to the end of the game. Whereas to me, I felt like Bayek had much better character development. It actually felt like his story made a lot more sense. It was a lot more relatable. Now, to be fair, having a revenge plot in Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm sure a lot of people probably shook their head at, considering they were probably tired of this whole revenge plot, right? But the thing is, revenge plots are very, very common in media because they work. And it worked here as well, and it became a lot more believable. It became a lot more relatable. You were on Bayek's side from the start, whereas with Edward, it's like he's a pirate trying to get rich, and while you might understand what it's like to struggle in day-to-day life, being able to get rich by stealing off people and being a pirate and chasing this pipe dream doesn't feel as relatable as something bad has happened to my kid and I feel like I need to right this wrong. Just to me, in my opinion, I just felt like Bayek's character was just a lot better. It was a lot more well written, to me at least, right? Because Bayek on one hand could be someone who is just assassinating people, doing whatever he has to do to protect his people. He could be tough and hard and gritty, but at the same time, he can also show that he is a loving, caring individual, especially when it comes to young people and kids. And my last hot take of the video. This one is either going to be a massive hit or a massive miss with the majority of people here, but in my opinion, most of the Assassin's Creed franchise in general are just kind of mid, and quite frankly, not really anything special. From my perspective, most of the storytelling in these games is kind of meh. I wouldn't really classify it as anything special. I think Assassin's Creed 2 and Origins have phenomenal stories. Outside of that, it's like most of it is just kind of mid, or it's good, or it's okay, but it feels like it's missing something for the majority of these games. The stealth, in my opinion, just really isn't that great. Like, with the title Assassin's Creed, maybe I'm just expecting too much, but in my opinion, I'm expecting a little bit more with a title like Assassin's Creed. I don't know, there's just something that's always been missing when it comes to the stealth of these games, and I understand that social stealth does play a role, but for the most part, that's also been taken away, and even like the traditional stealth isn't really anything spectacular. And like even the combat in pretty much every single one of these games really aren't anything crazy to me. The two best combats in these games to me are Valhalla and Unity. Those two have the best combat systems, in my opinion. But outside of that, it's like a lot of it is just very heavily and reliant on counter kills and such. And like, I think that Batman Arkham clears in this regard. And I don't even think it's close. I think the combat system in that game is so nice, the free flow combat, how you have a lot more options at your disposal, including gadgets and such, and I just think it flows a lot better. It flows a lot better, whereas Assassin's Creed combat feels a little bit more stiff, in my opinion. And even the stealth in the Arkham games, in my opinion, clear the Assassin's Creed games because there's actual consequence to poor actions. And the thing is, it sounds like I hate these games, and I don't. My problem is, I think that Ubisoft has just missed out on the potential of Assassin's Creed. I feel like after Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, even after Assassin's Creed 3, there was a clear step that if you're going to kill Desmond off, that you need to bring in a new protagonist immediately, a new modern day protagonist, Desmond's son, or something else entirely, if that's the route you're going to go down. And it always feels like Ubisoft kind of gives you a bit of a slap in the face when it comes to the quality, and especially these days, with the amount of money that they have to put into these games, but yet they can't even be bothered to give us decent cutscene quality. I feel like gives us the right to heavily criticize these games, and to say like, hey, if you guys actually put more money into a better writing team, people who actually cared about these games, you use better cutscene quality, which I believe Origins was the last game to really use that. And on top of it all, like, if you just really, really fine-tune the combat stealth and even the parkour to a certain extent, which that has gotten better, but specifically the combat and the stealth, if you really pinpoint those two things and add in good storytelling with a good setting, for instance, World War II would be really cool, then I think this series really can have something special. But guys, this is my Assassin's Creed hot takes. What have you agreed with? What have you disagreed with? Drop your hot takes down in the comments below. And remember, if you heavily disagree on something, make sure you comment how much you dislike me and how much you think I should stop posting content or post anything negative, quite frankly. Mostly because, the engagement boosts my channel and I would love for you guys to do that for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!